Om 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 Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vitvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. बोलिए श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय. ओम ओम सदाशिव समारंभां शंकराचार्य मध्यमां अस्मदाचार्य पर्यन्तां वंदे गुरु परंपरां. समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं. सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं. ओम श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः. Hari Om. So welcome to the 7th week of the series of Vision of Vedanta. The text that we are going through now is Tatwabodha by Sri Adi Sankaracharya. So we were seeing these 4 qualifications that are required to in our path to know the self and also to abide in the self. Not just the knowledge, but the abidance in the self is what will take us through. And these 4-fold qualifications, which we saw last week, were Viveka, Vairagya, then Shamadhi Shatka Sampattihi, and Mumukshutva. We saw these qualities of Viveka, which means discrimination between who am I and what all am I not. Vairagya is once the discrimination or the distinguishing between who is I and what is not I is established, then whatever is not the self, just withdrawing from that or not paying attention or not dwelling and reveling in that is Vairagya. So one is Abhyasa, which means focus on who I am. The other is Vairagya, withdraw myself from what I am not. And the 4th quality is Mumukshutva, which means Moksho me bhuyat iti ichha. The desire that I may experience moksha. I may experience that sense of liberation and I may abide in that experience of liberation is moksha. So, mumukshutva, the desire for that is called mumukshutva. And this 3rd one, which contains 6 qualities, we said we will go through it in today's session. And so what are the 6 qualities? The Tatwabodha says very beautifully, Pujya Guruji Swami Tejomayanandaji says, these 4 qualities of Viveka, Vairagya, Shamadhi, Shatka, Sampattihi and Mumukshutva are like the dials in our car. When we are driving the car, it is on that dial that we see the air pressure. We are able to see what is the level of petrol or gasoline in the vehicle, and then we are able to check if the the doors are properly closed, the seat belt sign is off, and all these things we are able to check when any of these parameters are showing which is somewhat at a danger level, then we are able to make the necessary adjustments in our car and move forward. In the same way, we have all a car which we have earned out of our own punya karma or good deeds. And the name of this car is not any other brand. It is the same brand that we all have. It is called Omkar. And this Omkar is this body, mind and intellect that we take with us through our journey. And wherever we go wrong, wherever there is some depletion, this dial board of sadhana chatushtaya will reveal to us. So even long practicing people who are practicing meditation and who are studying Vedanta and the Upanishads for many, many years, until the time of realization of the self, which nobody can tell us this is the time it will happen. It can take this whole lifetime or it can take many lifetimes. The sadhana chatushtaya is something that we need to keenly observe. So what is the third aspect of the sadhana chatushtaya? Sixfold wells. Shamadhi, Shatka, Sampattihi. Shama plus Adi is Shama Adi. Shama, etc. 6 wells. Wealth is called Sampatti. Samyak Pannaha. Samyak means properly, something which has accumulated with us. A quality that we have taken, we have received, we have imbibed, and we have created a big storehouse of those qualities. So what are those 6 qualities? Shamadhi, Sadhana, Sampattihi, Ka, Shamodama, Uparatistitiksha, Shraddha, Samadhanam, Chaiti. So these are the 6 qualities. Shamadhi, Sadhana, Sampattihi, Ka. What are they? Sadhana. Sadhana means the means to the goal. If I have to go to Delhi from Puducherry, I have to go through some means. Either I can go by road or I can go in a transport by train or public transport or by car, or I can take a flight, or I can go by ship and other means. But I need some means to reach Delhi. Without any means, I cannot reach Delhi. So, if I have to reach self-realization, if I have to realize the self, what are the means for that self-realization? Is these 6 qualities. Shamo, Dama, Shamaha, Damaha, Uparatihi, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhanam. These are the 6 qualities. Our Bhagavan Sri Adi Sankaracharya ji explains these qualities in very beautiful 6 definitions, continuing from this. Shamaha kaha, mano nigraha. Control of the mind is shama. The shama is the sham, is the dhatu. Sham, Shamkara, Shambho, Shambhavi, one who provides sham or peace. So, shamaha kaha. What is shama? Mano nigraha, control of the mind. Controlling the mind is called shama. There are 2 ways by which we can control our desires. One is by shama and the other is by dhamma. If I have to give you an example, suppose there is a desire to eat hot samosas, and that desire, we are able to watch that desire in our mind. The desire is rising in the mind. I am able to watch that desire within me saying, I wish I could eat hot samosa right now. This is a desire that is rising. And if I allow the desire to rise, and if I pay attention to that desire, I wish I could eat hot samosas just now. I keep thinking about it. I wish I could eat hot samosas just now. What will happen is, immediately my body will go to that samosa shop and I will pay money and I will get samosas, or I might call some good friend of mine who will get those samosas for me, or even without my calling, the very desire that is risen in my mind will be rising in someone else's mind, someone whom I know, a very intense desire that is there. It will rise in that person's mind, and even without my calling, that person will come and give me samosa or will hand over it through somebody else. So Shama can, what is Shama? Controlling the mind at the level of the mind itself. So controlling the mind with the help of the mind. The desire comes, I wish I could have some hot samosas. It is okay, that is fine. I can do without it right now. I'm happy with what I'm having right now to eat, or I'm happy not eating anything right now. With that contrary thought, I put down this thought without much effort. See, Shama is practiced with peace. It is not a violent suppression of the thought, because when we fight with the thought gains more strength over us. It is the same story of Vali and Sri Rama. Vali had this boon of whoever is in front of him, he will get half the power of that person. So Vali is just a representative of our desires. If I am watching the desire, that is consciousness, Sri Rama, is watching the desire in me called Vali, then that Vali or the desire in me will get half the power of my attention, and the desire will become very strong. So I should not be spending enough time with the desire, fighting with the desire, trying to push the desire aside, but very gently speak lovingly to the mind. It is okay, some other time, not the right time now. Maybe I can focus on something else. Very good, very uplifting. Just gently shift the mind and this desire will go away. Shamaha kaha mano nigraha. Controlling the mind is called Nigraha, means not exactly forceful control. Nigraha is the word that is used for the reining of the horses. The horses are reined properly. The charioteer, Surya Bhagavan is the charioteer. He is riding 7 horses. His Surya Bhagavan is sitting on the chariot. His charioteer is Aruna, and he does not have legs. And he is riding 7 horses and driving the chariot for Surya Bhagavan. And the charioteer has to gently move the reins on the right direction so that the horses don't go flying. The horses are staying in charge, staying in control, and not going in their own desired direction, which will change the change the course of the chariot. So Shama is the means by which gently we keep tabs on the mind, which is expressing through our 5 sense organs of perception, and gently we pull them here and there and steer them on the right path of our progress towards the self. Shamaha kaha mano nigraha. Damaha kaha chakshuradi bahyendriya nigraha. So, Shama is control of the mind, regulation of the mind. The previous example of I want to eat a hot samosa, suppose we give in to that thought and the samosa is on its way. The samosa has come before us. We still have something important to do before we can take this samosa. So Dhamma means to shut the sense organs so that I don't entertain that particular desire. Damaha kaha. Dhamma means control. Sarva Damanaha is the name of Bharata, the son of Shakuntala and Dushyanta. He was controlling all the animals like anything. He used to play with the tigers and he used to control the tigers. So for this reason, all the rishis in the forest used to call that chubby little boy called Sarva Damanaha. So Dhamma means to control forcefully. Chakshuradi Bahya Indriya Nigraha. Chakshuradi means eyes, etc. Eyes, ears, nose, taste, and skin. The perception of the skin. Not wanting some cushioned stuff or some soft stuff to lie on or to lean on, something soft to wear, something that is sensational to the touch, something that is very tasty to eat, something that's very nice to smell, something that is very good and pleasing for the eyes, whatever we think is pleasing. The nature and beauty is very pleasing, but we don't want to settle for all that because it is not stimulating our sense organs enough. A natural scenery does not pierce our eyes and stimulate our eyes, it just stays where it is and it is just serene beauty. But we want something more stimulating than that. So, damaha kaha, and sounds for the ears. Sounds can include any sound, the sound of talking, sound of gossip, all that. Chakshuradi, Bahya Indriya Nigraha. Manas is the Antar Indriya. The inner sense organ is a mind. Controlling the inner sense organ is Shama. Dhamma is controlling the outer sense organs. Uparamaha kaham swadharma anushtanam evam. In another talk in this series of Chinmaya Surya channel, many months ago in Chinmaya Yoga, the same topic of the sadhana shatka sampatti has been spoken about in detail. So uparamaha kaha, what is uparamaha? Upa means within, rama means pull within, control within. Uparamaha or uparati. After controlling the mind, how do we engage the mind? That is called uparamaha. I always say this example of a mother having to tend with her own children plus their cousins and friends who have come for the holidays and are all playing at home. So these children are all playing outside in the hot sun. The mother calls all the children. She makes the room dark because she says all of you should, just take rest. You should not be running around in the hot sun all the time. She makes the room dark, cool and comfortable. She gives them all a good wash and then she lets them into the room. Now, if she does not engage them properly in the right action, in whatever they need to do and focus on maybe a board game or some indoor game or some quiz or some storytelling session, these children will left on their own, they will wreak havoc in that room because all of them are very powerful, very energetic. They don't want to be inside. They've been forced to be inside. And so they will pull down all the things in the room and if they are left without control. So once you have Shama and quieten the mind, otherwise you have Dhamma and control the mind and all its faculties are teeming with energy inside us. So they have to be channelized in the right direction. What does Sri Adi Sankaracharya ji say is the right direction? Uparamaha kaha. How do you engage the mind in the right way? Swadharma anushtanam eva. Focusing on my own duty. Dharma means duty, my responsibility. Whatever is my responsibility. If teaching is my responsibility, if raising children is my responsibility, if cooking for the home is my responsibility, if sweeping, mopping and cleaning is my responsibility, or if writing is my responsibility, or looking into accounts is my responsibility, looking into that particular work of mine, engaging my attention completely, giving my attention completely into that particular work is called uparamaha. In this way, the mind will be focused on its own business. If the mind is not focused on its own business, it will be putting its nose into everybody else's business and get the owner of the mind into trouble. So, uparamaha kaha swadharma anushtanam eva. Then we have the next one, which is called titiksha. Though the name sounds very beautiful and it looks like a very beautiful feminine name. It is not something that we would want to name our children, because this is the meaning of that we will see now. Titikshakam Shitoshna Sukhadukhadi Sahishnutvam. But people do have such names. There is a big medical center in Chennai called Sahishnuta. So, Titiksha Ka. What is Titiksha? In life, we meet with a lot of experiences, different experiences. At the level of the body, Shita, Ushna. Shita means cold weather, Ushna means hot temperature. At the level of the body, heat and cold. At the level of the mind, something that gives me joy and something that gives me sorrow. Sukha, dukkha. We get opportunities to experience joy. We get opportunities to experience sorrow. Then, though this is not mentioned, there is a third aspect of this. At the level of the intellect, we get the opportunity to experience praise or mana. Somebody really measures us in the right way as we think we are. If we have an opinion about ourselves and somebody matches that opinion, then we like that person. We like that person because we think about ourselves that way, and that person also appreciates that and talks about that in that way. So it is called mana. But when we have a certain understanding about ourselves and the other person is having a lesser understanding, if I think I am brilliant and the other person says, "What a stupid fool you are," then the understanding level is very less and I feel very hurt by that. But titiksha is shita, ushna. At the level of the body, cold and heat. At the level of the mind, sukha, dukkha. Whether it gives me joy or whether it gives me sorrow. At the level of intellect, mana, apamana. Sahishnutvam means putting up with that. Why does titiksha come now? Because in shama, we try to control our mind and then we focus on uparama. If shama is failing, then we practice dhamma. Again, we control our mind and then we focus on uparama. Uparati is focusing on our swadharmam. When we are doing our duty, many times you would have seen, when you are focusing on your work, somebody will come and disturb you, somebody will talk something about you, somebody will gossip about you, somebody will say something that makes you feel sad, somebody will, either not somebody, even nature can provide some situation which is not conducive physically for you, or somebody might praise you too much, that will also distract you. Somebody might hurt you so much, that will also distract you. When there is cold also you are distracted. When there is too much heat also you are distracted. When there is too much joy also the mind is distracted. When there is sorrow also the mind is distracted. When there is praise also the mind is distracted. When there is censure also the mind is distracted. So instead of allowing the mind to be distracted by all this, keeping the mind in a balance, putting up with these changes and fluctuations is called titiksha, sahishnutvam. In Tamil and many languages, I do not know about other languages, in Tamil it is there, we have this word sagiputtanmai, sagichikkaradu. Sagiputtanmai means the ability to withstand the pinpricks of life is called titiksha. Shitoshna Sukhadukkadi Sahishnutvam. The very beautiful verse in the Bhagavad Gita is Bhagavan Shri Krishna tells Arjuna in chapter 2. First he talks about you should have knowledge, you should know what is the reality. And then he says another thing, these things will come and go. What is that verse? Matra sparshastu kaunteya Shitoshna Sukha Dukkadaham Agama Nityaha Tam Stitikshasva Bharata. How events happen in our life, how The feeling of joy and sorrow comes in our life. Matraha sparshaha tu kaunteya, O son of Kunti, matra, these tanmatras, the power of seeing, the power of hearing, the power of smelling, the power of tasting, the power of feeling, touching to the skin, sparshahatu, they come in contact with the objects. What are the objects? The power of seeing has its object of form. The power of hearing has its object of sound. The power of smelling has its object of smell. Power of tasting has its object of taste. And power of feeling in the skin has its object of feeling different temperatures, different experiences of joy and sorrow. When they come in contact with that object, we get feelings like Shita, Ushna, cold and heat, Sukha, Dukkha, Mana, Apamana. All these things are experienced because the sense organs come in contact with the sense objects. So these things keep changing. The waves in the ocean will always be changing. Every time the person inside the ocean has to dive deep and go so deep that he is unaffected by the waves. As long as we remain on the surface, always the waves will be coming. Matras parshastu kaunteya, shitoshna sukha dukkadaha, agamaha, apayinaha, anityaha. Why we should ignore them or why we should tolerate them and put up with them is agamaha, they come, apayinaha, they go, they are anitya, they don't have any permanency in their life. We need to pay attention only to what is permanent. We don't need to pay attention to every passing fancy, every passing difficulty, every passing impermanent thing. We don't need to pay attention, it is of no use. Agamaha, apayinaha, anityaha. It is not nitya, it is not eternal. So, what do you do, Arjuna? Tam titikshasva bharata. The same word titiksha is used there. Put up with all that. Put up with that little sufferings, little pains in life with a cheerful attitude. Titikshaka, shita ushna, sukha dukkhadi, sahishnutvam. Then you have one more titiksha. Then you have the next sampatti or next quality that is almost a wealth for us is Shraddha. Shraddha ki drishi Guru Vedanta Vakyadishu Vishwasaha Shraddha. So what type is this quality called Shraddha? The word Shraddha is from Shraddh, means truth, and Dha means to hold. That which holds the truth is called Shraddha. What holds the truth? Swami Sri Adi Sankaracharya ji says, Guru Vedanta Vakyadishu Vishwasaha Shraddha. Guru Vedanta Vakya Adi. Vakya Adi means all the Mahavakyas in Vedanta and the words of the Guru. Vedanta is the essence of the Vedas, and the essence of the Vedas are the Mahavakyas, and the Mahavakyas lead to our source called Om, and that is what is explained in the Vedanta in the Upanishad. So when we read the Upanishad tells Tatvam Asi, you are that art thou. Aham Brahma Asmi, I am Atma Brahma, Prajnanam Brahma. These are the statements of the Vedanta, the Upanishads tell us, but only if I have Shraddha, only if I have belief in that, the thought becomes mine. The Bhagavad Gita, Sri Bhagavan says, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. So what is Shraddha? There are so many thoughts around us. This whole world is like a supermarket of thoughts. Every day we have so many thoughts, good thoughts, bad thoughts, but we are not aware of how we are picking those thoughts and how we are buying those thoughts. How do we buy a thought? When I pay attention to the thought, when we buy a thing in a shop, we pay money and we buy the thing. When we buy a thought from this universe, how do we buy it? We buy it by paying our attention. When we pay attention for a long period of time, and when we pay attention with love to something, then that thing becomes our own. Just like when I go to the shop and I give lots of money and I pay something, I pay for it and I get it, it comes out of the shop into my house. In the same way, in the universe, these thoughts are there. When I pay attention to some thought, that is called belief. It becomes belief, and with that belief, I am able to procure that thought and keep it with me. So that is what Shraddha does. Shraddha means belief with love. It is not blind belief, it is belief with the knowledge that the Vedanta or the Vedas are teaching me that truth about my own self. First, having belief in that with love, and we know that the Upanishads are not going to tell something that is going to be harmful to me. And then, Veda Guru, the Guru is a person who explains the words. Guru is a person who is a Shrotriya and a Brahmanishta. Shrotriya means he has studied the Vedas, he has studied the Upanishads, and he has not just studied, but he is living a life immersed in the truth. So when the Guru is saying something to us, have faith and belief in that will become Shraddha. Guru Vedanta Vakyadishu Vishwasa. Vishwasa means to have a loving faith. We should have, when the Puranas say some story, we should first believe that yes, some great Rishi has said this and what he says is true. If we don't have that faith, if we don't give that kind of an attention to what we listen, then those words are going to have no meaning for us. So, if the words of the Vedanta and the words of the Guru have to have some meaning for us, then we should have this great quality called Shraddha. And the last quality of the six is Samadhanam Kim Chitta Ekagrata. So we have gone through all these five qualities, which are all shaping the mind in one particular way and making the mind more and more focused on the truth, on the divine, and on the reality that we want to understand and realize. Now, when we are moving in that process, the last quality, the very major quality is called Samadhanam. Samadhana means Samyak Adhanam, single pointedness of mind. The mind is one pointed, the mind is very focused. The mind becomes one pointed in the object of our love. When we love something, whether it is something equal to us or something below us in status or something that is very higher and above us, when we love that, the mind will come and focus on that. So when we love that is why when they say any language you want to learn, love that language, automatically you will be able to learn. Whether it is Hindi or whether it's Sanskrit or whether it's English or French, you love that and automatically you love mathematics, you'll be able to learn mathematics. The first condition to able to learn something is to love that subject. So Samadhanam Kim Chitta Ekagrata. Samadhanam is not learning to love, but Samadhanam is one-pointedness of mind. When does the mind become one-pointed? When we have Shraddha. Shraddha is also another word for Shraddha is love. Love in the Vedanta Vakya and the words of the Guru. When we have love for the words of the Guru, Vishwasa is general. Love goes a little deeper and we really take those words into our heart and keep it. When we do that, the chitta becomes one pointed. There is nothing else in the mind except the seeking after the truth, except the realization of the truth, except the sadhanas that need to be cultivated to realize that truth. Chitta, ekagrata. So with these 6 qualities and the four qualities of viveka, vairagya, shamadhi, shakka, sampattihi, and mumukshutva, we can drive this omkar towards the super highway of self-realization. Hari Om. Let us meet next Sunday. Let us meet tomorrow again for Ellam Ulla Mahabharatam in Tamil. Hari Om. The Mandala Puja for Chinmaya Surya Narayana temple, for which the Kumbhabhishekam was recently over, is going on. Anybody who wishes to participate can contact me or the Chinmaya Surya Ashram in our email chinmayasurya@gmail.com, or on my mobile number. Those who know can contact us to fix your date for Mandala Puja till March 16th. It is going to go on. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasorma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Hari Om. बोलिए श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। हर नमः पार्वती पतये, हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम।